Was Kris Jenner.
Dangerous in here.
Have a seat.
Hi, everybody.
I have my questions in my book. Didn't want to lose them. So I think I want to start off with a little bit about you telling us some of the challenges that you had growing up and getting to this place. Yeah.
Can you hear me? No.
Talk about challenging. I think, I had a great childhood. I grew up in San Diego with my mom and my dad. My parents got divorced when I was about 7, and that was a little traumatic because you don't understand it at such a young age, but got through that. My mom was a working mom, which I think really added to a lot of the way that I am now, because you learn so much from your parents, and my mom was always working. She was a single mom for a long time. And then she got married to my stepdad, who was the love of her life and somebody that we fell in love with immediately. And just had this kind of idyllic childhood in San Diego and La Jolla. And then I decided it was time to make a decision about going to college or being an airline stewardess. And guess what? I chose stewardess because it sounded so glamorous and exciting, and I wanted to go see the world. And then, of course, right about that time, I met Robert Kardashian. I was just about to turn 18, so I was really young, and dated for 4 years, got married, had Kourtney Kardashian when I was 23, and then it just went boom, 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 boom. I just kept having babies for a couple decades. Yep, that was my job.
So one of the things that was really surprising to me reading your book was how parallel our lives seem to have been. Tell us about the loss of your dad and how you think that has affected your work ethic.
Yeah, my real dad or my stepdad? So my real dad died when I was about 16 and a half, 17, and that was really traumatic because my parents were divorced, but he died in a tragic car accident, which was really devastating. And sometimes that's a very tender age. And as it turned out, my son, years later, lost his dad at the same age, and I don't think he's still gotten over it. You just don't get over something like that. You think you move on and you heal, and obviously life goes on, but it's still something that is really difficult to deal with. But, I saw the way that my mom handled her life and how hard she worked, and I think that you really do emulate your parents in so many ways, and you see how hard someone works. I mean, when I was a child, my grandmother taught me how to clean a sink, and if you used a sink, like you brushed your teeth or doing anything in the sink, washing dishes in the kitchen, you had to clean the sink like I was in a hospital, basically. It was hospital style. Everything we did was so intense. And so I learned all of this great work ethic in a really weird, clean way, through my childhood and when I was, a teenager. And all of that kind of everything I guess I really paid attention to. And losing my dad was something that I was very sad about, but I think I just distracted myself with so many other things and dove into life so fully. I thought, I'm gonna be the best sink washer there ever was in San Diego. I think I won. There's probably an award out there for good washing sinks. But I really tried my best to do everything in the best way possible. And that's kind of like a little mini messes with your mind a little bit because you're I was a perfectionist at a really young age.
I lost my mom at 16 as well to breast cancer, and it didn't really, and I totally relate to throwing myself into work and not even really dealing with it, but just being like, you know what, I'm gonna get straight A's, this is a distraction, and it takes my mind off of it. And something you said in your book was that you feel like you burn the candle at both ends because life is short. And I didn't really realize that might be why I am the way that I am. maybe it's because I lost my mom, and I say life is short. There's just a limited amount of time to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So, do you think you have OCD?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that'll be the headline tomorrow. Kris Jenner is so crazy, she has OCD. I think that there's a few of my family members who are all a little wackadoodle, you know, where we find great pleasure in cleaning my closet on a, you know, every weekend my mom calls me, she goes, "What are you doing today?" And I'm like, "What do you think I'm doing? Cleaning my closet." You know, it's like organizational skills and being completely lost in some of those exercises are very rewarding for me in a really therapeutic way. So I've never been to like a therapist, but that's my therapy. Like I can fold a really good sweater. And I think there's something in being organized in my life. And I asked my girlfriend about it once, many, many years ago. I said, "Do you think there's something wrong with me?" Because I really have this desire, but this really strong pull to be, like if everything, all my drawers aren't like lined up and the silverware is not in the, you know. And she said, "You know what? When your home is well organized, now you can free yourself. You got to be one of us to like understand this nonsense. But then you can free yourself to go focus on other things in your life. You know, that's okay. Your clothes are good. You know, your underwear's folded. You're good. And now you can go out and conquer the world."
You know, in LA they
Is that
say,
crazy?
No, I'm the same way. That was another thing that I was
Thank
reading.
God.
No, you know, in LA they say meditate, and Dr. Bay said, you know, meditate. But I read somewhere that organizing is productive meditation.
Oh,
and that
for
was
sure.
like, yes, that's me. So I totally relate to that.
You know, we could do like a social media whole thing on this. We could do a YouTube channel and organize things. And just people would watch endlessly, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm obsessed
Could you
with
see
it.
it now? Today we're going to do drawers. Where's Jen Cohen? Can you trademark that? Yeah.
So another one of the crazy parallels from your book is when you met Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
You said from the moment you met to married was 7 months. Right?
I think it was 7 months.
And my husband, from the moment we met to married, was 10 months. And I was not a romantic at all, but when people used to tell me, "Oh, when you know, I was like, yeah, great, go watch another romantic movie. But I think that when it comes to relationships, when you know, you know. But what I want to ask you is it the same in business or collaborations?
Well, I think it is. I think you really do. I think I have instincts that I like to follow. And sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're wrong. Obviously, we make a lot of mistakes, but it's those mistakes that give you the success. You know, if we didn't have those mistakes. But I think me now being at the place that we're at, when things feel really good and just so perfect, and I'm doing a happy dance because, you know, we just all created a great idea, that makes me really happy. And you know instantly if it's going to work. And you kind of know instantly if it's not, even if we do it anyway. You know, you thought, "Oh, okay, I'll throw the spaghetti on the wall and see if it works." Probably won't, and I'm probably right, it probably won't.
How do you know when you've put a lot of work into something?
Mm-hmm.
I always say, "Thou shalt not bullshit thyself." How do you know when to let it go? Like, it didn't work. I put a lot of hours in it, but let me let it go.
Yeah. Well, things don't work for different reasons. And I think that you have to really figure out what those reasons are, but you have to let it go. I mean, I remember when we first started doing our show, we had stores before we started doing Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And all we wanted to do was be in fashion and retail. We were so excited about opening stores. And Courtney and I opened Smooch, and then next door, the older girls opened Dash. And eventually, it just kind of ran its course, because when we first started the stores, I was elated. I thought, this is so great for the girls, and it'll really hone their business and fashion skills and really get that started. And then when we got our show, after that, I thought, this is fantastic. They want to film in our store. That means we're going to sell a lot of t-shirts. And I thought that was like, at the time, like, oh my gosh, we're going to do so well, and we're going to open other stores. And when that petered out, the reason we had to start closing stores was because everyone was coming to the store to visit and say hi. They weren't coming to buy anything because at that time, you know, the show got successful. So that was the reason that, you know, that didn't work out. You know, eventually we just closed stores and then figured it out as everything evolved. And now, you know, the internet and just everything else, retail wasn't as powerful for us as all the other ways to promote a product.
So it seems like you came from a pretty traditional family. You said your grandmother and your mother were always well kept, always had, you know, poise and well dressed, and their hair was perfectly coiffed. When did you say, you know what, I'm going to put it all out there, and I don't care what people are going to say about me, or do you care what people say?
About the way we look, or?
No, I mean, like, let's say you do something, you know, some crazy shenanigans or something. Like, I come from a Persian Jewish family, and me putting myself out on social media, I get a lot of heat from it, whether it's from my community talking about me. So at what point did you maybe, the better question is, when did you just let that go?
Well, I don't think you ever completely let it go. I think that when we first started out, the first thing I said to all the kids was, you know, don't go on the internet. And I, by the way, didn't know that much about the internet, but I said, don't go on the internet. It's going to be really negative, and let's try and keep a real positive, joyful attitude about all of this, and just, you know, grow some thick skin, because this is going to be a bumpy ride if you're just checking what's going on all the time. And, you know, that was sort of the beginning of when we felt like, wow, there's really a lot of bullies out there. You know, we were like really surprised that there were so many people weighing in. And that was, you have to remember that when we started our show in 2007, there was barely Twitter. My producing partner is Ryan Seacrest, and I remember Ryan, I've said this before, but I remember Ryan calling me up going, you know, you gotta call Kim. There's this little thing called Twitter, and she really should figure it out because it's gonna be amazing. And I'm like, Twitter, like a bird, like we're gonna tweet? And he's like, yeah. So Kim was the first one in our family to figure out how to really engage the people that were following her and our fans and really connect the two. But in doing so, you know, you open a bag of worms, and now you're on social media and it's getting bigger, and there's so many different platforms. Things change all the time, and we really had to learn how to let that go a little bit. And you know what, we're all human, and somebody can say 15 nice things about me, and then, you know, and then somebody says something really ugly, and I'm like, what? What did they just say? You know, so, and then, you know, of course, everything in the entire universe is our fault, no matter what. You know, it's like the Kardashians, they did this. You know, oh my God. So it started snowballing and became a thing, and we learned along the way to really grow thick skin and try not to let it bother us, and then try to show other people, you know, how to be gracious and not, you know, I was raised by my mom. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, like old school. And so I'm just like so flabbergasted when, you know, some people say certain things. And I try to tell my family, I'm like, you know, there's a really lonely, angry person on the other side of these comments that are, you know, don't have, if they put that much energy in doing something really positive or really good or working harder to better their own lives or just helping somebody or being kind, could you imagine how we could turn this whole thing, or it would grow so much faster.
I think my aha moment was a few years ago, and I said, you know what, why am I putting so much of my energy and care into people who would rather see me fail than succeed? You know, and I think when you realize that, you just let it all go, and it was so liberating. I felt like this like huge weight of like Persian culture just like fall off of my back.
You do, you just have to finally figure it out. And I think, you know, as you get older, more mature, you've been around the block a couple times, we're getting used to this culture of social media, and the platforms change all the time, and people come and go, and you know, you just get not used to it, but you just don't care as much. I still care because, you know, I'm a people pleaser. I want to make sure everybody's happy and, you know, okay. But then when somebody gets angry for no reason and they don't even know you, that's what I couldn't wrap my head around. Yeah.
So I think the other thing that a lot of people don't know about you is that you're quite religious and spiritual. But one of the things you mentioned in the book too is that these signs happen to you and things happen. And sometimes I look at myself and I say, a lot of people work very hard. A lot of people are very smart. Why me? And I don't know if that's subtle imposter syndrome or if that's what people call blessed. What do you think?
I call it blessed. I mean, I look for the signs all the time. I really feel like everything happens for a reason. I feel like, there's gotta be a bigger, much broader reason why all these things happen, and that someday it's gonna be crystal clear. And I think that we're put in this position, which is so incredible, and we try to do such, we try to give back a lot, and a lot more than anybody would know. And because we feel like we have a tremendous responsibility to the world, the planet, each other, God, and I'm very spiritual about that. I really feel like I have a million angels watching over all of us, and I'm so grateful for that every day. I think being grateful is the most important thing we can do each and every day. I get up every day and I give thanks for every single, moment that my family, my kids, myself, my mom, my 10 grandchildren were all healthy. And, it's just really a gift.
No, absolutely. So I'm going to switch it back a little bit. What do you think is the secret sauce to effective branding?
Secret sauce to effective branding. Well, after, failures, successes, trying to figure it out, when we first started, there were a lot of options and a lot of opportunities that came our way because we were this new hot show on the air, and with that comes not only a lot of responsibility, but a lot of opportunity. And I think that what happened to us is people started calling, and we tried a lot of things. And it wasn't until a few years had passed and, you do things that you wouldn't say yes to today, but we were taking opportunities because they were being offered to us, and I thought, oh, this is great. But I think that the secret to the branding success was just figuring out from each one of my kids what really worked for them, because at the end of the day, they're all different individuals. I'm their manager, I'm their mom. I've had the amazing, secret gift of being able to know them since the day they were born, so it wasn't like I had to figure out what they might be interested in. But I think it was really harnessing those interests and the talent that they had in whatever field that they were passionate about and figuring that out. So, for example, when we did cupcakes in 2008 or 7, I'm not sure Courtney was the best baker. Chloe and I loved cupcakes, but that just didn't resonate with anybody. And I think thinking about how to connect with the fans and the viewers who are watching our show was the thing that we needed to focus on. And what we realized was the fans are really gaining access to our lives because we put it all out there on our show, so they knew what was real and they knew what we really liked to do. And once we were able to harness that and focus on those businesses is when it really started to take off. So I think it's like now Chloe does, she's the founder and co-owner of Good American, and that makes perfect sense for Chloe. Like, I can't think of anything more perfect for her than doing something that really, shined a light on body awareness and being confident in your own skin and all of that. And she started her show, Revenge Body, and she had her lane, which made me so happy. And then Kim, we've been talking about, for example, Skims and doing shapewear for about 10 years, and finally it was just the right time. All the other times we thought, let's try this or let's try that. It just wasn't, it's also about timing. And so that really took off. And then Kylie and makeup, who knew she would be able to come to me and say, I know exactly what I want to do, Mom. And I was like, what's that? She goes, I want to be in, she was 16. She goes, well, before that, but she finally, she put her foot down at 16 and said, I'm ready. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to do, and she showed me the whole thing, and I want to do a lip kit, and I want to do it this way, and I want to market it this way. And, she disrupted an entire makeup industry. Nobody in the world would have thought that's how you could sell makeup. And she came to me and she said, I want to do these lip kits. And I said, well, and I've said this before to people, I said, what do you want to do? She goes, I want to do these 3 colors, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And I said, well, you better pick really good colors, because this is either going to be a major hit or you're going to be using this lipstick for the rest of your life. So she said, no, I got this. She was so confident, and then that took off, and that was her lane. And Rob and Arthur George and socks and everything he wants to do. So I think when each one of them started finding their real passion, what's her name? Kendall.
It's hard to keep track.
The highest paid, most successful supermodel in the world right now. And when she was 12 years old, she said, Mommy, I want to be a supermodel. I don't even think she knew what a supermodel was, or how much work that took, and how much traveling, and how, 25-hour days, and on and on. So I think each one of them has the most amazing work ethic, and I think that was really lucky for us. But the fact that every single one of them found eventually the passion that it really took to run a solid, sustainable business. And I think that you really, I tell my kids, you always need a plan B. Figure out what you want to do and what you want, the dream. Let's try to go for the dream, but then what's your plan B? Like Chloe, her whole life wanted to be a veterinarian. And so that's, don't tell anybody, but that's Chloe's plan B. So don't tell anyone.
So great. So did they ever come to you and they have like some sort of idea that you're like, no?
Not really. I mean, I think one of the biggest gifts and the thing to remember for everyone out there is there's nothing better than a great brainstorming session. That is so effective for me. And the other thing is I could have never done this, alone. I have the best team in the world who are over there. Jen and Megan, raise your hands. So that's what keeps us going, those 2 rock stars over there. But you never forget that it really takes a village. And once you have, I like to always say, have somebody smarter than me working for me, because I don't know so many things that these kids over here know and that keep us going. But I think that at the end of the day, you just want to have the best team possible, and you're gonna eventually figure it out.
I want to give a shout out to my team too, who I could not live without them.
I know, right? But wait, what was I gonna say? You asked me a question, but I got off track with my team.
See what you're doing to me, guys? How much time do we have? I do want to open it up to some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course. Not a one. Okay, and we're good.
Yes.
Now that we're on, we say successfully independent at this point, do you feel that the reality show is something that you would like to sustain and have this discussion with them going forward in your life, now that there's a lot of grandchildren involved?
To keep doing the show?
Yeah.
Well, right now we're filming simultaneously season 18 and season 19. And it's, we work at it every day. And I think we've all talked about the show being really the foundation of everything else we do. We're in almost 200 countries around the world, and it really is fantastic. We love what we do. We get to work together every day. And when we're not working together, then we're still hanging out with one another. So that makes it really fun. And I think that I don't know what we would do without filming the show. I don't think I would know what to do with myself. Yeah, so we really love doing it. Yeah, no, we love doing it, and we think of different, like every single season we sit down together, which we did the other day going into 19, and we all said, what's coming up, what's happening, and once we all start talking, we get really excited about what we might be doing. So I think it's, we'll do it, season, I don't know. I used to joke and say, season 19, Kylie has a baby.
Just put that out there in the universe.
So I don't want to say anything else. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Dr. Sue from Fargo. Welcome.
Thank you.
To this big group. We love having you here. And I love that you're such a mama bear. And I love that you're teaching your kids to give back. And I'd love to know about your process for discerning all the people who reach out to you for help. How do you go about choosing?
How do we decide to give back? Well, you know, one of the things that is so special about doing a television show like we do is we're able to shine a light on different causes and different things that happen in our lives that really matter in the world. And I think one of the things I remember doing, we shot it was mostly Kim and Courtney we shot an episode about the homeless situation in Los Angeles. So we got really involved in that. And then my boyfriend Corey, who's sitting here somewhere, he started talking to me about the situation in Watts and the Watts Community Center and how they were going to shut that down and how that was such a hub for kids and how important that was to after-school programs and, you know, feeding these people. And, you know, so of course I got, you know, I think it's, and then Australia, obviously, and when there was a hurricane in Houston and now the earthquake in Puerto Rico, and you hear about all these disasters and then we sit down as a family and say, you know, what can we do? It's heartbreaking. So we try to help, you know, as much as we can, and we encourage other people to help. But I think that social media is really interesting because you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. But I think the whole point of it is when you can create awareness, you know, to encourage other people to do something. So we try to give back, and then, you know, hopefully it'll make a difference in somebody's life and somebody's blessed by that gift or whatever happens. But it's just it's what we hear about, to be honest. There's no magic formula, but when somebody comes to us with something, we talk about it and decide as a family, and then, you know, hopefully it makes a difference.
Do you have any regrets about anything you haven't done yet, or I know that's a big question?
Do I have any regrets? Well, you know, people used to ask me, do you have any regrets about the show? And I said, you know, only about some hairstyles. So that's about it. But I think, you know, I don't really live life with regrets. I think that everything that has happened in my life and in the life of my family got us to where we are now. And so I just think that just having that feeling of gratitude and just always feeling so lucky to be where we are and doing what we're doing is truly the attitude that me and my kids have, and I think that's important. So to have regrets, I think those made us, the mistakes we make, and we make a lot, but they get us to where we are today, and they create, like they are, you know, that's the fiber of who you are and why you do the things you do today.
On the same note, why don't you tell us about how fear plays or doesn't play into your thought process?
Someone once said fear is a weird thing, because fear can either keep, you know, fear is like fire, which can either keep you warm or burn your house down. So I think to be fearful, I get more nervous. I said to somebody on the carpet out there in an interview, I only have fear when someone asks me to go skiing down a hill. You know, I don't have fear about things I do in life or business decisions and things like that, because I think you really have to take chances. I think there's so many times when you come to like a fork in the road and you can go to the left or you can go to the right, and I think, you know, my girlfriend once said to me, options are always really good. Have as many options as you can. Maybe pick a couple and see which one works. And that sounds like such a simple thing and a formula, but it's always worked for us to have several opportunities and then weigh what works and then kind of dip your toe in the water, but never be fearful, because what's the worst thing that can happen? I think that's what you always have to say to yourself, is how bad could this get? You don't want to hurt anybody or do anything dishonest or illegal,
Right.
but get as close as you can. I'm kidding. Why did I say that? Wow. God, I must be tired.
remembering like 2 years ago, since you guys started the program, every day when I get off of work, working like 10 hours, I was wondering like all the seasons, and you guys give me these hours to get, well, thank you to Olga, Dr. Sheila, and every Sunday watching your program, Courtney, Chloe, they give me the empowerment to get on the tops where I want
I think just to be able to encourage somebody else to be the best that they can be, and we hear so many of these stories when someone says to you, you know, I'm sorry. But when somebody
It's the first
says,
time I haven't cried.
when somebody says something about your work or what you do and it made a difference, I mean, there's nothing that feels better. And when somebody says something like, oh, my mom was in the hospital, but you got her through because she laughed at, you know, your show and you made her feel better, and so that means a lot. Thank you. Sweet.
I'm from Ecuador. I'd like to meet you because
Oh, wow. Ecuador.
I think we all agree that you and your daughters have changed the beauty of the world, and I have a present for you.
Oh my God.
I'm also a
Oh, can you
sculptor,
bring it
so-
up? Oh my God. You made this?
Yes, for
That
you.
is so beautiful. Thank you. Is it me? What do you guys think? Thank you. Sure. Thank you. How awesome is that? Listen, I think anytime you can touch someone's life and make a difference and encourage people to be the best that they can be and tell other people how we did it and how, you know, I was talking with my team this morning, just kind of in closing, I'll say that I was talking to my team and she was like, remember before there was really social media, Kim had the most trafficked celebrity web page in the world and really started this whole thing with how to communicate with fans. And then there was Twitter, and then there was Instagram, and then Snapchat, and all these fabulous ways for people to communicate and to really have a career. You know, all these people that have been influencers and creating their own brands and figuring out how to market their products, and now you can do it with a whole different way, you know, be disruptive in your own way and figure out your own brands. And I think just to share information with each other is really important. And those brainstorming sessions that we have all the time, that we get creative, and I think just getting your creative juices going and figuring out different ways to do what you do and paying attention to the people around you and what they're doing, really just, you know, you just figure it out. And that's how we do what we do.
Kris, thank you for making big derrieres fashionable.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. You know, that's one thing I'm really proud of my girls, because they really brought such great awareness to body positivity. And I think that that's something that was really needed and necessary. Just for young women who can feel really good about themselves no matter what their size, no matter what their age, you know, no matter, you know, what they look like. It's really, my mom taught me, just go out every day with your best foot forward. Good old MJ. She's always good for a great outfit. And she really taught me how to look my best, and you'll feel your best at any age, and it just makes you feel like, it puts like a skip in your step. You just feel better about yourself if you come out in the world with a great attitude, a smile on your face, and you look great. Nothing wrong with that.
You're preaching to the choir. That's what we do all day long.
Right, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah.
Let's take one more question.
It's not a question, I just wanted to say I'm a makeup artist, and,
What did I do wrong? What's wrong?
Stand up.
No, I just wanted to say, how you and your family have inspired, just my community, and I remember the first video that I watched from him with, I can't remember, I think it was Steven. They did
Yeah.
a tutorial. I bought everything. And that's pretty much what
Thank you.
started, yeah.
Thank you, that's so nice. You know, it's fun to inspire each other and you learn so much. And I think one of the things that everyone's enjoyed so much on social media is the YouTube videos. There's nothing better than a great makeup. It's like I'm obsessed with watching cooking channels because you just want to go make a cake. So it's the same, same kind of concept. You just watch somebody do makeup so beautifully in that evolution and then you want to go do it.
So we'll do last question.
I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure if anyone covered it already, but it's been so many years since the show and all of these endeavors. What has kept you guys current with the show and just the whole family and promoting your brand, who you guys are, what you stand for? I would love to hear your thoughts.
What keeps us current?
Relevant. How do you say
Relevant?
that?
Well, I think we're always changing. Every single day we work at our brands and we work hard and we try to keep up with the trends and what's happening on social media and really focusing on, and again, it's the team. We have such an amazing team who are teaching me something every day about how products are sold, how marketing happens, how television is evolving or not evolving, how people are watching things only on their phones now, and it just changes daily. And I think just keeping all over it, we try to pay attention to really what's happening. I think that's key, and being really involved with the whole process. You can't let a day go. That's kind of the good and the bad of social media. Doesn't it stress you guys out sometimes when you get on and you think, I gotta catch up, I gotta look at my posts and the Instagram accounts and everything. But I think at the same time, every time I take a break, a little mini weekend break and come back, it's so much has changed. So I think being relevant is, we're just living our lives on TV. So we're extra lucky because we have a show and everybody sees what we're doing all the time. But the social media side is what I think really keeps us relevant, all the different platforms. And now TikTok. Who's on TikTok? Everybody, right?
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah. Am I on TikTok? Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Probably right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'll do both.
Yeah.
Do you set goals for yourself at the beginning of the new year, for 2020? Hi, I have this goal, and how do you accomplish goals, or do you do that for yourself?
We set goals all the time. I think the first time we really got into the goal setting thing was when Kim and I, for the first year we had a show, we set a goal and she said, Mom, I think my goal this year is to really have a fragrance. And she did it. We worked on that for months and months, and she came out with her first Kim Kardashian fragrance, and that was really exciting because it was the first time that it felt so satisfying. It was actually set, we worked on it, we accomplished it. So that was really, really great for us. And we've been doing it ever since. But we do it about every few months, every 6 months. And if things start to fly out of control or something's not working, then we all get together, have another brainstorming session and kind of figure it out. But I think it really is the people around you, the team around you, having people that are smarter than us around us to help with all that stuff. But yes, goals are important.
Hi. So you have a group here full of physicians that are really innovative, and they're full of great ideas and products and ways they want to help their patients and help their clients. But many of us at this level don't have a team or don't have, people working with us. We don't even know how to take that idea and its inception and take the first step to, I know this is great, but how do I bring it to this next level, into the masses where I can really
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're talking about a product, for example, in your field, so I think that there's a lot of competition. Like, I'm in love with Botox and things like that. Like people, I think that there are products and things or tools that you guys can probably come up with, or skincare or whatever it is that you want to do. I think that one of the first things is finding a little bit of white space. Like, where is there not so much traffic in that category? I remember when Kylie, to give you an example, started doing another category, there was a lot of people were doing a lot of eyeshadow palettes a couple years ago, and it got really crowded, in that space. And suddenly she just said, you know what, I really want to work on skincare. That's been my dream, and it's a good time. So I think it's about timing, it's about something you have in the back of your head, and then it's also about financing. So, not everybody can go out and, like when Kylie did lip kits, she used her own money that she had saved for 10 years. So she was very lucky. But getting someone to get behind your dream and helping you, financially and help getting something started really takes a lot of the stress away. And then maybe giving them a small piece of the company that you're thinking about building, and then figuring out how to get the message out there. So once you have a physical thing that you can actually promote, you're there. It's just about, that's kind of like the stages. It's like the idea, the financing, the production, and then getting it out there, and the sky's the limit. And if one way doesn't work, there's another one. That's the beauty of that. One more. Okay.
So what is your biggest advice to moms, business owners, physicians in general, or just other business people who balance?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, I said this earlier today. Balance with career and kids is all about how you feel, really. Because if you're not healthy and strong, then you really aren't going to do anything 100%. And as a mom, you really need to be 100%. So when I know that I'm going to be really busy and really, even my kids now, I have 10 grandchildren and they're little, and then sometimes I think that if I go on the weekend and visit each kid, it would take me 3 days. Because there's so many, right? But being a mom is a really hard job. And when you have little kids, they're really needy, and if they're not in school, that's a whole different, animal. So, not that your kids are animals. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get in trouble. So, but kids can be a lot of work, and work is exhausting. So I think you need to figure out a way, if it's asking a friend or your husband or partner or whoever, help me out so I can feel the best I can feel. Because you being refreshed and happy, and being a good mom comes first in my book. But then if you feel strong, sometimes when I do things and I know it's going to be difficult, it's like running a marathon. I try to feel my very best, which means no vodka, and no nonsense, and getting a lot of sleep, and really being focused on your health for a minute, and then you'll feel good. I get up every day at 5 o'clock and work out, try to get on the treadmill, try to do Pilates, do something for yourself, but you can do that before your kids wake up.
The other thing I like to say is there's no such thing as balance. Work, if you lose your job, that's going to affect your home life. If you have a baby, that's going to affect your work life. So you better be doing something where you can feel good. I spend more time at work than I do at home. You have to do something you're passionate about, involve the kids. Whenever I go speaking, I take them with me. It's a family vacation. I don't think I've ever really taken a real family vacation. It's always like a workcation. But yeah, there really is no such thing. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you've got to work at it, for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Made our day. I hope you feel like your cup is a little bit fuller as well.
Thank you. This was really great. I really loved seeing all all you guys, and thanks for all the great questions. I appreciate it. Every time I do something like this, you know, and people say and ask questions, it really gives you some feedback. So I appreciate it. Thanks.